Before I continue the account of Hypatia's life, I want to spend a little time explaining the philosophy she studied and taught, and the religious context of the times. That's how we might understand what happened to the philosopher. From as long ago as the 2nd century CE, and probably before that for that matter, many in the Roman Empire were wrestling with the question of how to bring humans and the gods closer together. There was a longing for the divine among humans of this world. There were several paths proposed to solve this dilemma. Some people followed various mystery religions, like the cult of the Egyptian goddess Isis, or Mithra, the god favored by the military. In many of these cults, practitioners ate food that represented the flesh of a god, or practiced other rites to feel at one with the deity. Other people looked for magical practices as ways to pull the supernatural into the service of this world. All these practices were an attempt to make the supernatural present in the natural world. From the 3rd century, educated Greeks and Romans looked to the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who seemed to offer a way to understand the connection between this world and the next. Plato had posited that this world was only a shadow of the perfect world that existed somewhere else, like in the mind of God, for instance. In his famous allegory of the cave, we are all as prisoners chained in a cave, facing the back wall, where we can see only shadows of the reality outside the cave, behind our backs. The Matrix movies built upon this allegory to imagine a real world outside the virtual one that enslaved the living. That was all well and good, but Plato didn't give any explanation for how to breach the distance between the cave of this world and the reality of the next. That's where 3rd century Neoplatonism, New Platonism, came in. And the most influential proponent of these ideas was the Greek philosopher Plotinus, who flourished in the 3rd century CE. The Neoplatonists proposed a method by which the ideas in the mind of the one, or the good, or nous, emanated to earth. They believed in a hierarchy of emanations from the one through another entity called the word, or logos, through a third entity called world soul. Finally, the emanations from God would manifest in the visible world. In other words, this explanation offered a way for the reality outside Plato's cave to enter into this dark world. Let me try a specific example to explain this. Imagine the concept of beauty in the mind of God. This concept turned into emanations of beauty that spun on themselves and were named beauty. The rays then coalesced into the world soul from where it struck on an object here on earth, making it beautiful. Therefore, why is something beautiful? In this system, it's beautiful because it resembles the perfect beauty in the mind of God. I admit this is not a modern scientific view of beauty, nor of cause and effect, but it was extraordinarily popular in the 3rd century and beyond. Neoplatonic explanations were particularly popular because they offered a technique to figure out how to join this world with the supernatural one. The corollary of this hierarchical structure was that believers could work their way back up from this world into the next through techniques of meditation and prayer. In the 3rd and early 4th century, Neoplatonism was winning the hearts and minds of many in the Roman Empire. This was the main competition for the spreading Christianity, which also offered a way to join this world with the next in the person of the incarnated Christ, who joined human and divine in his own person. One 2nd century Platonist who dismissed Christianity was Celsus, who believed followers of Christ were simply going for magic instead of the loftier goal of intellectual Platonism. This competition for the soul of the Roman Empire ended in 391, when the Emperor Theodosius, father of the Empress Galla Placidia, declared paganism illegal, and made Christianity the only legal religion of the empire.
Wow.
Theodosius had gone much further than Constantine, who had simply insisted that Christianity was one of the acceptable religions of the empire. With the stroke of Theodosius's scribe's pen, the official Roman Church was born. But his decree did not mean that everybody immediately became Christian. In fact, the Platonic Academy in Athens was not closed until the 6th century, under the reign of Emperor Justinian and Empress Theodora. And anyway, as we will see, there were many Christians who found the philosophy of Neoplatonism perfectly compatible with Christianity. By 392, when Christianity was made the only legal religion, Hypatia had already established her reputation as a Neoplatonic philosopher. The future bishop and scientific inquirer, Synesius, came to Alexandria to study with her, writing that she was a person so famous that her reputation seemed incredible. He said that she honorably presides over the mysteries of philosophy. Synesius learned so well from her that he became one of the people credited with reconciling Neoplatonism with Christianity. In the West, the famed Augustine was another such Platonist who blended his philosophy with Christianity. Synesius was so proud of his analysis that he sent Hypatia one of his works called Neo, in which he reconciled Neoplatonism with the Christian concept of the Trinity. In about 400, Hypatia became the head of the Neoplatonic school in Alexandria. One source suggests that she was actually paid with public funds for this job. This would have been a remarkable achievement for anyone, and virtually unheard of for a woman. She had